And I completely understand that. And I think that there's a population of Mexicans who also agree with that notion. They when they heard about the FTO designation, for example, they were really excited, perhaps, that finally a global power, a strong government takes their problem seriously and views their problem as something to kind of attack, to fix. Because for a lot of Mexican people, the war on drugs and the whole narco situation has completely depleted their quality of lives. And I understand that to be a major problem, particularly in a lot of states that actually border with the United States, right? So I can certainly see, and a lot of my viewers also have that same sort of perception of, well, if America is willing to do something, why wouldn't the Mexican government be happy to take them in with open arms? But at the end of the day, we have to understand that any sovereign country, particularly a country that perhaps could be intimidated by the United States, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying that, but really look at it in the grand scheme of things. Any country that is going to say, yeah, US, come on in, deal with our biggest problem, is at risk of at losing a sense of their sovereignty. And that's just a fact, how it is, right? And so, of course, I think for people who are dying, who are seeing their family members go missing, and I know for a lot of us that isn't even the main problem, right? For the American population, the main problem is the fentanyl overdose crisis, and the crimes that we're seeing happening as like a aftermath of the war on drugs, of cartel violence. I think it's important to keep in mind that for a lot of people in Mexico, if they had the chance and the power to make a decision, they would want to put an end to this. I know that for a fact. I mean, I've talked to so many people who just want it over with. But we also still have to keep in mind that the Mexican government is not this, it is not this organic, wholesome government that can really just crack down on the narco problem, because there are so many people in power who are profiting off of it.
That's exactly. So that's the other side of it. I won't say that the President Sheinbaum herself is involved in that, but it starts to lean towards, is she involved as well? Does she have something to gain by not slowing down the cartel? I don't know, but that's the questions that are raised to everyone else who's watching.
Yeah.
And from my position, I care about the fentanyl crisis tremendously. It's a big reason why we have this podcast. But the other side of it, I do care about the humanitarian side of this conversation, where the Mexican people should be living in a safe country. And I know that everyone deserves to have a safe country, if you will. And hearing things, something that you reported on that property that had a lot of burnt, people.
The Rancho Izaguirre in Jalisco. Yes. Yeah, the extermination camp by CJ and
the extermination camp. Yes, thank you. Like things like that are happening. Like I just feel like the Mexican government should be like, hey, as a team, we could use some help. Okay, they don't want to use our help. They don't want to lose their sovereignty. I understand that. I haven't seen them make any decisions that looks like they're making changes tactically, proficiently, anything that's to destroy the cartel. And what it is, and you and I know, why is that? Well, because every law enforcement that they have has a chance of having someone in that group who's potentially corrupted.
100%. So it almost, I mean, listen,
go ahead.
You're mentioning Rancho Izaguirre as a reason for the Mexican government to ask for help in terms of tackling the narco crisis. The Mexican federal government, well, actually, the Fiscalia of Jalisco, which is like this crossover of justice and the Attorney General's office in the United States, for example, right? Like that's kind of how the Fiscalia works in Mexico, was there with the National Guard before we ever heard about this, months before. I think they were there in like September. They uncovered that camp. They were on an operation to release some kidnapping victims and arrest some members of organized crime. There was no press release, no further investigation. nobody looked to the personal belongings that were there.